All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another stream of UBOAT. Another one of my old school late night streams. So we are, actually doing UBOAT, which is a Second World War submarine simulation, as you might have already guessed. And yeah, I think usually most of the people in the stream know already a lot about the game, but let me briefly introduce it to anyone who is new with that. So U-boat is, well, let me start with that statement. In my opinion, the best submarine simulation ever being delivered, although coming from a pretty small and tiny development studio. So all the respect for the guys. And yeah, you already see here that the graphics is pretty atmospheric. Really gives you this kind of, taste of the salt on your lips and this kind of feeling, wet, damp feeling of salty water drying in your hair, the spray in your face, building up a crust of salt. This is what I feel when I look at that. Yeah, let me not be too emotional about it. I am in the year of 1943. It's May, which means that we are already more than 3.5 years into the war. And yeah, beautiful thing about this game is you live in a complete open world. So the whole coasts of Europe, of the US, far towards the southern coasts of Africa, into the Indian Ocean, all is detailedly modeled. Also, the Mediterranean, Baltic Sea, all the coasts are modeled in the game. So it's a complete open world. You can just go where you like, although it is recommendable that you go where your seniors want you to go. And what I actually did is I started this game. You can start in different periods of the game, but I wanted to do the whole walkthrough through the war, and that's what I do. So any single mission that I did, any single part of all these 3.5 years I did put on stream and shared it with you, which was a pleasure and still is. And we started at the eve of Hitler's raid on Poland, which was September 39. The game starts, and we started with a tiny Type 2 submarine. You can choose. You could also start right from the beginning with the large Type 7, but back then, when I started this campaign, something like a year ago, was it a year? Or, well, I don't know, 10 months, something like that. There was, just that new update of the game which contained that additional submarine, and I was very curious. And although, from a tactical point of view, the Type 2 is pretty much of a pain in the ass. It has just something like 5 torpedoes in total, just 3 forward tubes, very low top speed, which makes it pretty tricky to catch up with or intercept merchant convoys. And the range is pretty limited, but I quite like to pick up that challenge and earn my merits with that small submarine in the North Sea around the British Isles and Ireland, and in the close vicinity of the Atlantic. And finally I got promoted to steer, to be the captain commander of a Type 7. And now I'm sailing with the Type 7C, which is quite nice. And back then I started at Wilhelmshaven, then transferred to the port of La Rochelle when France was taken. And of course from La Rochelle the Atlantic theater was much closer, and we finally even progressed to the middle of the Atlantic, did the Black Pit mission successfully, and then earned our first access to milk cows. And yeah, so only the milk cows, which are mobile fuel stations, to put it like that, and restock stations. Submarines, pretty bulky, large submarines, and you could position them somewhere in the Western Atlantic to refuel, and only this gave us the opportunity to finally do the Operation Drumbeat offshore of Canada and the US, and same down here, the attack on Aruba. Both sets of missions done successfully, and then I retransferred my home port from La Rochelle to Bergen in Norway, and here we are just close to this Arctic Convoys mission set, and we already have done the first 2 parts, and now we are striving for having 250,000 tons sunk, which is quite a challenge actually. And on the last 1 or 2 missions, everything was pretty quiet. We just didn't run into any convoy. But right now, looks like we are a bit more successful. And going after a convoy. So after days and days of constant and frequent hydrophone checks, we finally got 1 contact, and that one we are following now. We got that contact here, and after an hour here, and after another 2 hours there. So the first 3 contacts were a little bit inconsistent, but then we got the 4th contact here. So at the moment I assume that the whole convoy is moving on a course roughly like that, with roughly 8 knots of speed, because if you do hydrophone checks every hour, then you would just have to measure the distance between the positions that you get, and 1 hour, 8 miles means 8 miles per hour, means 8 knots. So right now I'm going with flank speed, and I've marked this here via dead reckoning, so when I'm here it should be 1 hour. Now I had been talking a few minutes, so we already moved further from 25 minutes to 7. So 1 hour will be over after 25 minutes to 8, and then we are going to do another hydrophone check. Always good to confirm and give a broader databases to our extrapolation of their course. So that was our last hydrophone check on them, and now the next one, I would guess them to be there. I'm going flank. I have manned the engines with Mr. Grade. He was off watch, but I had to wake him up, and he's doing duty on the engines with 2 crewmates, which allows me to go flank speed right now, giving us something like 17 to 18, even 19 knots. So we are pacing through the sea to the next hydrophone check. So let me see, anything remarkable? Let's make sure that we have sufficient food in the galley. What about the water in the bilge? Yeah, we could turn on the pump for a little while. And there we go. Yeah, it's 7 o'clock in the evening by now, so this is gonna be a night attack, although, yeah, we are so far in the north, so it's pretty bright. I'm actually playing on almost maximum difficulty level, also including dark nights, but here in the north, in May, the nights are not very dark. Whoop. Okay, let's do the next hydrophone check. So what's gonna happen? 2 crewmates are gonna man the depth steers, fore and aft depth steer. Mr. Arles, our first mechanic, is flooding the tanks by opening the valves, which means that, yeah, here you see the off-watch crew having assembled in the front compartment to give additional ballast, and the front ballast tank being flooded with seawater quickly, and all that should drag us quickly down. Yeah, right now it's not a matter of speed, but when there are airplanes inbound, enemy airplanes, then you are pretty happy when the crew is good in doing this fast. There they are. Yeah, they are pretty close to the point where, oh, they are even slower, obviously, than I thought.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter. Herr Kaloy.
Yeah, 7 to 8 knots, something like that. Yeah, hydrophone check, it's a workflow. So if I order hydrophone check, I don't have to do all the micromanagement, but the crew exactly knows what to do. And the crew brings the boat down to 50 meters, stops the engine, and then does a hydrophone check silently for 5 minutes, and then brings the boat back to the surface. And yeah, this is one of the great features of the game. Like, you're the captain, you don't have to do anything by yourself, so there are certain things which the crew actually does for you when you order it. And yeah, this gives you this wonderful feeling that you are not just kind of pressing buttons on a machine and controlling a machine, but you are actually controlling a crew, and the crew is operating the machine. And this feeling you really get in this game. I think this is maybe one of the very few games which transport this feeling that you're not the captain of a machine, but that you're a captain of a crew. Or, well, maybe to be precise, I would have to call it not a captain, but a commander. So we are carrying on. They are there. After 1 hour, they will be there. We will be there. So we are on the perfect interception course. Time is, yeah, 20 to 8 actually. Mr. Schneider is restlessly doing maintenance on the torpedoes. That's his major job. To make sure that the torpedoes are always fairly okay-ish in terms of maintenance, whenever we might just suddenly run into action. Because this is really ugly when you did all the targeting properly, put everything nicely in the targeting computer, did all the estimations of the enemy course, of the enemy angle on bow, their speed, their distance, and then it's just a dud because maintenance was bad. I think in very few cases it's still some low probability that despite off maintenance you would still get a dud, but that's pretty rare. When you have your torpedoes fairly maintained, they usually don't produce a dud. At least not later in the game when you have these advanced pistols. Yeah, by the way, hi guys, I see that there are a few people watching. Yeah, as I used to remark, I have no idea who you are as long as you don't participate in the chat, and that's just fair. So just having a few people watching is perfectly fine, but let me state anyway that getting some comments into the chat, if it's just a hi or what you think about the game, the stream, or what your status is. Do you play the game yourself, or are you just new? I'm very curious on that, but please don't feel pushed. Perfectly fine if you just lurk. Let's hope that we can get a few kills. So the last two missions were pretty dry. Well, I mean, no any contacts. By the way, sorry guys, I have to be AFK just for 1 minute. Hey, Aquising, nice to have you in. Yeah, I was just AFK for a minute. Yeah, pleasure to have you in. How are you doing? How is your Saturday night going on? Or evening? And hey, Volvolu, you are with us just as well. Great. Ahoy. Yeah, nice. So this time we might see some action. Finally, we had a contact. Yeah, well, the news, they are, say, interesting, to say the least, yep, at the moment. There we are. The sun is still up. Look at that. It's 7:45 in the evening. And the sun is still up. Yeah, although we are actually playing war here in the game, still I think we all would wish that the world would work without war in real life. Hey, great thinking. Nice to have you in. I think you haven't been in the chat for a little while. Great to have you. How are you doing? How was your week? How is your weekend going on? Yeah, I had a pretty nice Saturday. So in the morning, my wife had to get up early. She went to work. She usually works. And yeah, she only came back at something like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had breakfast with the children, which was pretty chilly. And then I used that time, well, this time not for work, but actually for doing some offline gaming in the morning. And then I spent the afternoon with my wife. So, pretty relaxed. Yeah, I am considering whether I have to do some work tomorrow, but maybe I would just ignore any time pressure that I have and don't do any work this weekend at all. Let's see if tomorrow I will be tough enough to do it like that. I think I will. I pretty much feel in the mood. Let's give it a save and lift. Let's give it a new save. It's a new stream, new save. W327. There we are. Yeah, nice to have you guys in. Always beautiful to see well-known names in the chat. Yeah, there's something that surprises me that the escort seems never to have radar. So up to now, whenever I picked up a radar signal, it was coming from airplanes. And never ever.
Alarm! Convoy in Sicht!
Dafür haben wir
Heilung!
weiter durchstehen.
Ooh, wow. I wouldn't have thought. Okay, I was just saying that. And there they are. I wonder, come on. That would be too bad if they could detect me with their radar. Now, yeah, so times change, technology changes, and so they are actually having me in there. Oh, come on. I need to stay on the surface to be fast enough to get in front of them. I can't just dive right now. But there is the risk that they pick me up on their radar signal. Yeah, come on, you can step away from battle stations.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Why is... Ah, okay, the gyro compass was turned off all the time. This is why I had this feeling that my navigation precision was dropping that fast. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, let's check that. Let's check it out, what difference it actually makes if we stay on the surface. Yeah, we are still 8 miles away from them.
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
Yeah, but let's do a hydrophone check. One last time. Before we close in. 60 degrees, they said. Which is something like that. Oh well.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Betrachten Sie es als erledigt, Herr Kaloy.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Yeah, let's go for a parallel course for now.
5 Meter. Auf E-Motoren wechseln. Meter.
Yeah. Hey, let me check it. Guys.
Geräusche. Große Gruppe. Peilung 90.
Aqua Icing, you are from Canada. Vulvalu, you are from North Africa. Great Thinking.
Aktuelle Tiefe.
I'm not quite sure. You're from UK, aren't you? And not wet, just cold. Yeah. Good after evening. Yeah. Late night is after evening. Nice to have you in, not wet, just cold. Yeah, you're from the US, aren't you? I was just like checking whether I have it correctly in my mind where all you guys come from.
Meter.
Sorry. Not wet, just cold. Yeah. I did put you to the States. Yeah. And you're from England. That is a faux pas, like the French would say. Sorry. But at least I am right from a right, Liverpool. Yep. Yeah. There are these cities there in the northwest of England where the big bands come from. Of course, Liverpool, everybody knows. Manchester.
Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter.
How far is Sheffield from Liverpool? It's not that far, is it?
45 Meter. Herr Kaloy?
All right, there they are. So my dead reckoning seems to be pretty okay. Yeah, okay, that's not too far, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, the country is not that small. It takes you quite a while to go from southern England to the north. I mean, if you say UK to Scotland. I remember we once drove from, we went by car through the tunnel, and that was quite some drive, 5-6 hours or something from if you go from bottom to top, 13 hours. Yep. Yeah, so I was underestimating. It was more. We actually went to Edinburgh, but Edinburgh is pretty far south in Scotland still. So a few more hours if you really go to the north. Like to John O'Groats, if I remember. That was one of the very northern little towns. I'm not quite sure, but I think we took a ferry from John O'Groats to the Orkneys. That's quite a few years ago. Yeah, okay, all right, yep. Yeah, well. I really don't remember in detail how long it took us
Anblasen.
from Dover to Edinburgh. Yeah, okay, yep. Yeah. In the Middle West, yep. Just like me, I'm living in the Middle West of Germany.
Meter.
All right, we are getting back to the surface.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Sehr gut, yeah. Yeah, the radar contact, come on. Yeah, well, I mean, as for me, I'm not very I'm not a language guy. So it's just German I know just by chance because I happened to be born in Germany, being the son of German parents. And yeah, English, it's just like I had a lot of opportunity to practice it. But no other languages that I am actually familiar with. And I think it's a bit unfair because probably it's really like that English is a little bit more easy to learn than German. So for me as a German, it was probably easier to learn English than for you as an English guy it was to learn German. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean that's perfectly fine. I think if you know English, you're perfectly fine all over the world. Yeah, I would be curious. I really don't know what the accent of the people in Liverpool is. I'm not very good with accents. It doesn't depend on the language. Also in German, I'm not very good with dialects and accents, so I have big problems, for example, understanding the people from the southern parts of Germany. So this kind of underlines that I'm not a natural born language guy. Yeah, I don't know about Welsh, but last summer holiday we went to Ireland for the very first time, and my impression was that, I mean, when they are not really are speaking hardcore Gaelic, but when they are speaking English with their local accent, it was pretty alright for me. I mean, it was relatively close to the accent of Scottish people, I would say. So as long as the Irish really didn't put on a hardcore accent or their Gaelic, I was pretty alright understanding them. Because it was pretty close to Scottish accent. I'm always emphasizing accent. Because as soon as people would really start to speak Scottish, I would be completely lost. I just know that beautiful poem. Anybody knows? Tam O'Shanter of Robert Burns. Yeah, we actually did hiking in Ireland, in the northwestern part of Ireland, of the Republic. And yeah, they really have their Gaelic there. Yeah, but nevertheless, the people we met actually did speak good English. I mean, yeah, maybe I am not the one to judge, but if I say good English, I mean I understood them well. So we should keep track. 1 hour would bring us there, and 1 hour would bring them there. Have you a captured one? Is it a German or? Yeah, I would love to. I mean, it's the problem is it's just so much of an effort to visit your island. But I pretty I yeah, well, I spent a year back then in Scotland and I enjoyed it so much. And the time in Ireland on our summer holiday right now, it was great. And I really would love to do some traveling around in England just as well. I really love your country. I love your language. I love your attitude.
Kurs setzen.
Ah, okay, yeah, interesting. That's might be interesting how it actually ended up in Liverpool.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet. Torpedorohr 2 gewartet. Torpedorohr 3 gewartet.
Okay, maintenance going on.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
That's good.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
According to the sound signature, we lost the radio contact. Here we are. Come on, let's do one more hydrophone check.
50 Meter.
Ah, okay, yeah. Wow, on the seabed for 40 years. Amazing. Yeah, I think the best submarine experience that you can get is probably in Munich, where they have that model which was used for the movie.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloy?
Yeah, we are gonna get a hydrophone check soon, I guess.
25 Meter. Schraubengeräusche. Große Gruppe. Peilung 140 Grad.
Yeah, okay. They are clearly above.
Herr Kapitän?
Yeah, okay, now they are separating into two groups. Yeah, but they are pretty much where I thought to have them.
Meter.
Yes, of course, I'm talking about Das Boot. Yeah. Such a great movie. From the 80s, from the early 80s, but they really created so much atmosphere in the movie.
45 Meter.
Hey, thank you very much. That's so nice to say. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's nice to hear.
50 50 Meter.
Yeah, well, I mean, streaming is about conversation, so not where just code. You are really always in for conversation, and so I have to thank you that you are so talkative in the chat, because this is really what gives me the fun in streaming. I like gaming, I like simulations, I like submarine simulations, that's all fine, but well, the real thing about streaming is the conversation, and you need a few guys who actually are in for that. So, thank you for being in all the time. So let's finish that hydrophone check and then go back to the surface and go in for the kill, go in for the infiltration. Yeah, of course, I'm always happy if our little community here kind of grows a bit. Yeah, but we are actually continuously growing. I'm pretty much surprised all the time. So there is more and more people going in. So started at, well, something like 100 people in, and it got more and more. And by now, there is something like 300, more than 300 followers, and that's just great. Thank you guys for that.
Anblasen.
And there we go, back to the surface. It's so dark by now. What is it? It's almost 10 o'clock. I think up there we will still have some decent daylight. Nah, not daylight, but yeah, look at that. Here in the north,
Herr Kaloi, wir sind auf.
the nights really don't become nights. Yeah, it is.
Kurs setzen.
11 miles, it's a bit more than half an hour. So for them,
Kurs setzen.
I think
Ist als erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
we can go like that. Put ourselves right in front of the convoy and let them just go over us. Stop the engines, go to periscope depth, and so that's my hope, to infiltrate the convoy.
Ich benötige Ihre Unterstützung. Folgen Sie mir.
Okay, there are the smoke columns on the horizon. But they are pretty far away. Okay, at that point I have to be AFK just for 60 seconds. No smoke to be seen, it's just too dark. There is a bit of smoke.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Time? Okay. Just about. Change of watch, 10 o'clock.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
So I think this is the first smoke column that we have. No, I didn't. So I have this big AF gun, quadruple AF gun, anti-aircraft gun, I mean, and these two small ones. So I didn't remove any AA gun. I just didn't yet get the opportunity to actually try that out. What the firepower of these actually is. Yeah, so I wonder how decently we could infiltrate the convoy. It's getting more and more difficult the later you are in the war. The better the tactics of the escorts are and the more escorts. I actually had convoys with something like 10 or more, 12, 13 escorts building a complete circle around the convoy, and then it really becomes pretty tricky to get them infiltrated.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
Kurs setzen.
No, I'm not. What do you mean by overlays and Twitch point stuff? So my counter question actually shows that probably I won't do that because I don't even know what you mean. Yeah, my next project actually would be to set up a proper Discord channel. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yep. These emojis, they are not part of that concept, are they? Because I have these beautiful emojis which I manually crafted just by myself. Yeah, maybe I really should check that out. Alright, there they are. They are probably zigzagging. Hey, yeah, acquiescing, this is exactly what I mean. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe I should take a look at that. I think I might have a little bit of time tomorrow to dive into that. I keep that in the back of my head. Okay. They are actually zigzagging. They are doing this large scale zigzagging. No, YouTube is not my best friend. My best friend is actually Twitch. I put my streams on YouTube, but, well, my heart lies with Twitch and you guys, actually. Why don't I see anything? They're really fast, are they? Let's go 45 degrees. Yeah, okay, alright. I'm gonna think about something. How you could spend the channel points. You're completely right, yep. And it's a pleasure to hear that you have collected so many channel points. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, they're gonna change course within half an hour or something. Yeah, you also have a few, I guess, acquiescing, yep. Yes, yeah. Yeah, let me think about that. Yeah, but that's beautiful to hear. I really appreciate that you have collected so many points. Yeah, well. Get it done. Yeah, popular demand. You really put pressure on me.
Alarm. Konvoi in Sicht.
30k, Volvolu, yeah. Yeah, so you do have good arguments that I really should do something about that. I'm gonna check that out. I see, yeah, you are. You are. I feel myself with my back to the wall. This is kind of an idiom you would use in German. I'm not quite sure whether you could just translate it one-to-one to English. No, we don't need the alarm.
Alarm beenden.
You can all step away from battle stations for now. Against the ropes, okay, yeah. I have a bad feeling about this infiltration because I am already detected by their radar all the time. Wow, it's an enormously large convoy. And I think sooner or later they are gonna change course. They are heading for me, more or less. I don't know yet. Maybe it's still too early to yeah. Problem always is that as soon as you go submerged, you get so terribly slow. Yeah, you're right. Let's do it.
Auf Seerohr.
Let's go for periscope depth. Let's go for periscope depth. And let's give it a save at that point. Yeah, well, I mean, it depends. Sometimes it's a good attitude to just charge, but sometimes it's also this patience game, putting yourself into a good position and let them just pass by. Yep. Yeah, you're completely right. This is the kind of two things that sometimes the one attitude is alright and sometimes the other. Charge in aqua icing, yeah, you are the guy for always charging in head on, I guess. Yep.
Schraubgeräusche. Große Gruppe.
There they are.
40 Grad.
What do we get? Are they still so far away? Because you're so far away from me. To quote that song off, what was it? Dire Straits? Okay, we can put the periscope full up. In this lighting, nobody would spot it. Pretty sure. And there is the smoke. I am pretty nicely in front of them. 50 degrees. They're just over there. I think I should change course. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of night attacks, but I'm a big fan of these twilight attacks that we have right now. Do you remember that stream that I had something like a week ago? When I was in this completely dense fog, infiltrating the convoy in the dense fog. That was also a bit, yeah, kind of weird. Yep, that's it, aqua icing. Get in front of them and let them just pass over you so that you're in the middle. That's exactly the tactics which I prefer, yep.
Kurs setzen.
Yeah, but you have to, somehow you have to get into the middle to place your torpedoes, at least when you are such a bad shot like I am. I usually need to get close to something like 0.8, definitely less than 1 mile. I would never shoot a torpedo at a distance more than 1 mile. Yeah, the perfect range, but I would say it's something like 800 yards, 600 yards, but a mile is already too far. So if you ask me, the perfect range would be something like 700-800 yards. Yep. Okay, come on. I just have to get a few peanuts. A little late night snack. I'll be back in a minute. All right, back again. Yeah, at the moment, they really look like they are going straight for me. So that would be perfect. But, well, I think so far into the war, they are zigzagging. So I have to assume that after at least an hour, they are going to change course again. And this is actually the problem, which makes it pretty difficult to do these kind of attacks. It's May 43. And so early in the war, they start to do zigzagging when you get close, and when they recognize that there is a submarine around, they are starting to wiggle their course. But now, something like more than 3 years into the war, they are really doing something like 90 degrees course changes every half an hour. And that's really making it tricky. So now it's 20 to 11. Yeah, there are a few visitors in the stream who actually lived so long until the end of the war in the game. So anybody would like to answer that question? What happens at the end of the war? I could answer it, but it's just hearsay. I never went that far. Yet. Yeah, that's definitely a decently large convoy. Yeah, actually you escaped to South America. Like all the Nazis did. But you won't change the war. Germany is gonna lose the war, and that's good. Because, yeah, we actually have to admit when we play this game that we are playing on the wrong side of history. Yeah, something like that, right? Did you ever get those so far? And that's what I heard. Yeah, like, I think something like 60% of the U-boat crew actually did end up at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. Yeah, we love this game because we are fascinated by that technology. The submarine, this hybrid, the combination of diesel engine and electric engine so many years ago. That's quite fascinating. nicely in front of that convoy.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Yeah, they're nicely lining up in front of me. And that might become a good infiltration. Let's just hope that no enemy escort is coming too close. But they are still all hull down. Yep. Yeah, I'm not yet on battle station and not yet on silent running, which means that the continuous maintenance of torpedoes of Mr. Schneider is going on. Yeah, this guy looks like it's probably a...
Zerstörer, 350 Grad.
Yeah, that's a destroyer. He kind of drops out of the line of the more or less symmetric order.
Kreuzer, 5 Grad.
Ooh, a cruiser at 5 degrees. Oh, come on. That's really a task force. Merchant convoy combined with a cruiser. That's pretty amazing. I didn't have that before. I thought I had just purely military task forces with men of war with cruisers. But having a convoy, being escorted by a cruiser, that feels pretty new. Yeah, I would guess it's still 5 miles or something. Look at the contacts and... it's something like 5 miles, according to the hydrophone. Yeah, alright guys. So, I look at the time. Usually I do my late night streams a little bit longer. But I probably have to get up a bit earlier tomorrow to have breakfast with my family because our children are gonna go for a tournament. And yeah, so I can't sleep till something like 9:30. Maybe gonna have to get up earlier. So that was a pretty short stream tonight, just 1.5 hours, but it was a pleasure to have you in.
Handelsschiff. 5 Grad.
I think I'm gonna do another stream tomorrow. At least a late night stream, and maybe I'm also gonna do some morning stream. Let's see. Let's see. So we can be curious how this is gonna evolve. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye bye, guys. Yeah, Vulvulu, have a good night. Not wet, just cold. Have a good night. Aqua Icing, same for you. And whoever is in the stream. See you guys. Bye bye.